Hello, this is Sonia. This is going to be a soft tissue, connective tissue fascia workout, and we're doing it sitting with a chair. So you're just going to start with sitting with your legs hip distance, and then just trying to take some breaths in through the diaphragm here. And one more breath. You're going to keep breathing though, but we'll add movement. So you're going to inhale, and on the exhale, think of just squishing this side down. And on the inhale, think of lifting it up. And then exhale and squish the other side down. And then inhale to lift up. And then again. You might even be so in tune to really feel the difference of even into the lung capacity when you're squishing and compressing one side of the diaphragm and the other. You're going to keep doing this movement, but focus on a different thing. So inhale, exhale down. Think of lifting this rib up and inhale. Exhale up. Inhale. Exhale over. Inhale, think of breathing here. Exhale up. So now we can inhale, come down, to exhale to come up. And as you inhale, you think of breathing into the side, up, and exhale. And then one more each side, inhale. And exhale. And then one more. And exhale up. And then just going along with the breathing, you're gonna inhale. And as you exhale, because you twist, you feel the exhale. So we're not going for huge range of motion. Inhale, center, and then switch and do the other side. And then keep doing that. So my hips aren't moving. I'm not against the back of the chair, just so that I can rotate. If you have any back conditions, you shouldn't do moving too much. You could just do small movements. You can always spot, you don't have to turn your head. So the difference between a workout with the muscles and something of connective tissue and fascia is just that it's less intense. You're going slower, slow twitch muscles. It works the stabilizers a little bit more. Because when you work your big muscles, you can't also work small muscles. So if we're at the place working the connective tissue and fascia, we're probably going to be in the stabilizer muscles. We're not trying to use the big muscles to stabilize, which is kind of the trend when people talk about stabilizing. They're not actually stabilizing if they're not using the stabilizing muscles, but I guess you can kind of say that. So what you're going to do is you're going to flex the foot as you reach it forward and then come back in. So you can point to then flex, stretch to the back of the leg to point to come in. So I am using the floor and my toes are just staying down as much as they can, and then when they can't anymore, I'm stretching out the back of the leg and then pointing to come in. So I'm not trying to use the top of my shin to pull it back. I'm trying to be passive through my toes and more active through the back of the leg. So if I'm active through the back, I tend to be a little bit softer in the front, but not always. Point to flex, to point, to come in. Can you switch and transition and do the feet stuff? And you might need to scoot forward. You might need to hold on so that way your butt's kind of forward, and then you can switch. Two more, and then do one more. So then you're gonna do both forward at the same time and then point to come back in. And I'm keeping my feet down all the way into the back, so that way I get that soleus Achilles tendon stretch also. So this is just using my abdominals. I'm more or less sitting up and lifted. I'm trying not to move here. So if we were having dinner and a table is underneath, or here, my legs are underneath the table, you can't see necessarily what I'm doing. So now you're gonna come in and then circle the legs around, and then circle them out, come back in. So we're just opening up the hips a little bit better, reverse another direction. So I'm not really moving my feet or my knees. I'm really opening up from here, and then my feet and knees are just following. And I'm keeping my feet flat. So then if I just keep them flat on the floor, I'm flexing, and now I'm pointing them. And it's just happening. I'm not trying to change anything major. I'm just trying to keep the big toes down, use my abs. And one more time here. So then I'm gonna point my foot, I'm gonna turn it to the side, and I'm stretching the back of the top of my foot. And if you can multitask, you can flex the other foot forward. And then switch, flex and reach it forward. Yeah, so then you might get a quad stretch if you are tight here. I'm not necessarily really tight here, so I don't feel a stretch, but everyone's different. Pointing and flexing. I really want the back foot to get a stretch, so if your brain can't really handle also flexion forward of the front foot, just work on the back, because we already worked on that one. 2 more, and then do 1 more. So come in, and then just one leg is gonna circle out, and then come in. And now what I can do, because I'm doing 1 at a time, it actually crosses the midline more. We'll do 4 that direction, same leg, and then other direction. And don't let that foot do extra. You don't get bonus points because the foot and the knee are not aligned. You get bonus points when all of the joints are straight and parallel, they just get turned out from the hip. 1 more. So what I'm talking about is if like my knee's here, but my foot's turned out, that's a not good line. But if that's all straight, that's a good line. Circle the other leg out, and then it crosses the midline if you can. If you're someone who had the hip replacement and you shouldn't be crossing the midline, you don't. You just can kind of do the half. Inhale, exhale, and reverse. Inhale, exhale. Trying to keep your foot flat as you come back. So then you flex the foot, you point the foot. You flex the foot, you point the foot. 1 more. Good, and then coming in. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna back one, sit bone up, back the other, sit bone up, back the other, sit bone up. So this is actually a really great pelvic floor workout. You might keep backing it up until you can't back it up anymore, and then you're gonna come forward, sit bone by sit bone. And if you wanna get into it, you might be 1 little hip lift and coming back. So there might kind of be like an 8 kind of shape coming forward and back. It's not just a linear forward back. There has to be a little bit of a hip hike coming forward. And then we're gonna go back 1 more time. All right, so then just come to a place that you can sit. So I have to scoot back forward so my feet can be on the floor, but not everyone's as short as me. So my back is gonna stay flat and perpendicular to my hips, and I lean, but I think of really spreading the sit bone out. Doesn't mean the knee has to spread, but you can probably see even my knee wants to. But you're just trying to feel the sit bone spread, come out, come down, feel the sit bone spread, come out, down. And then 2 more, and 1 more. So now can you inhale, and then on the exhale, can you think of from the 2 sit bones, pull in. So if you do it right, it's a pelvic floor engagement and then release. So it should not be too much inner thighs. My knees shouldn't be moving too much. It's an interesting thing because I don't want to Kegel. Kegel's superficial, not pelvic floor. And I want you to try to think of, if you do it the right way, it's a soft tissue engagement, and then I feel my abdominals contract above it, and then I gently release. And then pull the sit bones in together as I lift up, and then gently release. And then 2 more like that. Release, and then 1 more time. So that's me pulling my sit bones in. Can you lean again and walk the sit bone out? Lean, walk the sit bone out, lean. And it's not, like when we just came forward and back, we're making change. Like as I'm doing this, it's not that I'm actually like going to one side. Like I don't think we can really like move the sit bones that well. We're just trying to spread them to then, can you think of now, feel that in. So sometimes we can't feel the in because we're already too tight in, so we need to learn how to release. And that's what a lot of this soft tissue and fascia stuff is releasing. Release the nervous system, release the clenching, because when we have the unconscious clenching, we have nowhere to go with the muscles. And so it is do a movement with fluidity, with a nice equal tempo, and then we stop the locking of the muscles, we stop the contraction, we stop the gripping of everything. We just kind of let it release more. So then keeping your back flat, I'm gonna turn to the side. So you start with rock forward a little and try to find your sit bones, and then rock back a little and try to find the sit bones. So you're just trying to see what it feels like to go forward and back, and this is when you might need either your phone or a mirror. What does it feel like when you're sitting right on your sit bones? Some people, are here and they're incorrect, and so that's why what you feel and what you're doing might be two different things. Then your spine should be lifted up the best. So if you tend to slouch, you might, if you have a curve to your back, somewhere is going to be your neutral with the curve. If you lift it up too much, sometimes kyphotic people over adjust way too much here and they start to get that lower back too much. So there's that right amount of lift up through the chest, and then the shoulder around here should be above the hip. So keeping your spine in your neutral, so you should have a little lower back arch and a little curve forward, and you might have a neck arch. You might be flat, you might have more of an arch or curl in that. It's really, where are you your tallest and where is the least amount of tension in the whole body. Then you're going to keep your shape and you're just going to rock forward, keeping that spine shape, and rock back. So we're just trying to see what it feels like to move from the pelvis, and then the spine just follows. This is also the best back strengthening exercise because it works the deep multifidi muscles, but not in an over-contracted way. So we have the erector spinae, which is more superficial if you were to get a massage. If you were to feel tight, that's typically what's tight, is the most superficial one. That tends to turn the multifidi muscles off. So just this really simple rocking forward and back is going to help strengthen them. So if you have osteoporosis, osteopenia, any back condition, we're not changing any spine, we're not changing the relationship between nerves and vertebrae, we're keeping them the same. We're learning how to move from our hips, not from our back. So this is just gonna be how you should reach, how you should lean, how you should move through life. So the next functional thing is then keeping the lean. You're gonna lift the right hip as you lean left, or if you're opposite, do the opposite. And then come in and then switch. And I think the way I have the phone in it actually might be opposite how you see it, but I don't want a side bend. I want the same rib to hip, length here, and then we just keep it the same. Because if you're someone with a back condition, you might have to learn how, if you're gonna get something off the floor, to lean, use your legs are wide, use the heels, and then you might have to side bend down, because unfortunately that's reality. And so we just have to learn our body. What are our boundaries? How do we position the bones the best underneath us to use our muscles the least amount that we can? So you're just leaning. And then one more each side. And then one more time here. All right. So you're gonna drop the shoulder blades down and reach out through the arms, and then come back and let the shoulders come up. And then shoulders down, reach out, and then come back in and up. So I want you to think more about the shoulder joint reaching out and in, that yes, I want an element of this part dropping, but also thinking of here. So you might need to put your hands on this top of your arm bone and put it like in this space, and see if you can depress the arm bone out of the shoulder capsule. So the shoulder is here, the shoulder blade is back here. They are two separate units, but these muscles tend to really function together because Most of the time we don't realize they're different, but also the traps, and our body tends to bundle them up. Try the other arm and reach out. And sometimes arm rotation might be different, so one palm might need to be in a different spot in order to have the arm bone be in a more ideal place as you're doing this. So if we were to go over bony protrusions in this upper arm bone, as you turn in and out, you're gonna feel where they are and then compare it here, and then you need to know where you're supposed to be and which arm is out. If you're in pain, usually where there's not pain is going to be a good spot. And then do one more. So can you go back to reaching both arms out and down? Inhale, let the shoulders lift. We're so good at tensing up that I just want you to feel that gentle glide down and up. Then let's just add a rotation. So turn the palms in, so you turn the thumbs back, the shoulders come up. I turn out and then go down. Turn in to come up, turn out to come down. And if you're clicking, are you clicking from the shoulder socket, or are you clicking from maybe something in the shoulder blade? You can sometimes put your hand on and try to feel it, but this, you do have bones going over muscles and tendons. We're gonna reverse. So you come palms up, shoulders lift, turn in and drop it down. Turn out, shoulders up, and then turn in and drop it down. And then two more. And then one more. So that was just a gentle shoulder glide, but I want you to think more of these shoulder blades now without moving the spine. So can you drop the shoulder blades down and back without lifting the rib cage? So sometimes people, because they lift the spine, the shoulder blades are technically going back, but that's because the spine is moving. So you're not really learning how to use the rhomboid muscles, which are the muscles between the shoulder blades. And I don't want it to be a really hard contraction. You're just trying to feel those muscles. You might need to be a little bit more extreme at first, but then I want you to be a little bit more playful and more gentle with the movement, and have the movement versus so rigid and contract. Because if you keep teaching your muscles to contract, they're going to contract. Then the movement gets very robotic and very stiff, and we then start to stiffen up. And I want you just to feel that gentle down and back and then release. So my shoulders might come down and back more, whereas the other one, they were kind of coming up and down from here. I could then combine the reach out with the shoulder blades down and back, all without the spine moving. So if you think you're doing really good, maybe check it out with a phone or a mirror, depending on if you can, what gives you the better feedback, what do you have access to. And then do one more. All right, so gently turn your head to one side and then gently turn it to the other. Inhale, turn it to the first side, and then you turn it to the other on an exhale. You can inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. The next one, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Inhale, exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the mouth, exhale through the mouth. Look straight forward. Now pause there, reverse, start going the other direction first. So I was looking left first last time, now I'm gonna go right. So inhale, look right through the nose. Exhale, nose. Inhale, nose. Exhale, mouth. Inhale, mouth. Exhale, mouth. And then look straight back. So it's just different ways of breathing into the breathing muscles differently with an inhale through the nose, mouth, inhale, nose, mouth, all that combination there. So then you're gonna inhale, and then on the exhale, just gently turn your head to one side, but think of lifting as it drops, and then inhale, center, and then go to the other side. And we're not trying to do range, I'm trying to do lift up. So I'm thinking more of this side of my neck lifting up, kind of like what we were doing the side bend. Do one more each side. Sometimes we ask too much of our neck. So if we were to put our hands into our neck just to kind of brace it and give us feedback. So my thumbs are on the top of the shoulder or maybe that top rib, clavicle area, and my pinkies are then here. Then I want my neck not to move. And I want to feel that rib cage move as I just do a side bend. This is an interesting one too. You could do if a light's behind you and then have a shadow on a wall, and you can kind of just see how much you're moving from the spine and not asking too much of the neck. Most of the time people ask too much of the neck, and then their neck eventually starts to get so irritated. And then people are like, well, I can't do this, and they never should have been able to do it, but they got away with it for a long time. You know, it's not that we don't want the neck to work, but it is like, well, I want most of it to come through here. Unless you're osteoporosis or have a back condition, then you're gonna maybe wanna have not so much movement. So if we were to keep our hands here, just to be aware of our neck, and then twist through the abdominals and the hip, and then the head moves. And then center, and don't let the head move, but abdominals engage and the hips twist, then the head looks. So we're really going here. So if you're like looking to turn in your car, you're turning your whole spine, then your head looks last. Center, whole spine, one segment at a time, and then you look last. Center, whole spine, and then you look last. And then one more, and then you look last. So flat back, hinge your foot as your flat back comes forward, and then you come back in and switch. So I'm reaching my heel forward as I tip forward. So I'm towards the front of my seat, and then I should be feeling a hamstring stretch. Flat back, lean forward, and come in. You can have your hands on the seat if you want. You can have them slide. So now we're gonna add a little bit of an arch of the spine and then a little bit of a rounding and coming back. And my foot can be following the floor again. So I'm flexing it, coming forward, and then rolling it back. And so I'm trying to lift my chest up, keep my back flat, flex the foot, stretch the hamstring, the back, and then come back, and then switch. Can you turn this leg out as you do this, as you flex the foot, and then roll back? So it's still hip distance, I'm turned out, so I might get a little bit more of the side of the hamstring. It's just a little different than when it's parallel. And then the weight is in the bent leg. Okay, then reverse, you're gonna round down, lift up, and come back. Point, round down, lift your chest, come up. Point, come down, lift the chest up. And this one, the neck shouldn't be moving too much either. It's more that I want the spine. And at some point, choreography might try to catch you. And so if you're not really good at choreography, you might be just doing small movements. Maybe you're just doing movements of the spine. Maybe you're not worrying about the pointing and the flexing of the foot. If you're so tight, you can just have one foot come forward, you lean into it, and then you come back. So it's more if you need more of a stretch, you can do this. If you have a back condition, you've done most of that just flat back because you don't want to be challenging anything with the body. So then have the legs come wide to balance, and then you're just gonna come up with the right shoulder and then come drop it down, and then the left shoulder is gonna lift up, you shift over. So my hips might lift just a little bit. I can then start to add my arms and elbows if I want, and as I come up, my palm is back, and then as I come forward, the palm comes forward. And you can always change that and then do the opposite of it, but just for now, we're just gonna sway here, it's like someone's pulling my elbow out to the side, and then one, and reverse and go down and up, and sway down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. You can add the arms spiraling. They can do, you know, one forward, one back. They can both be doing the same thing at this point, because even if the palms are functioning the same, they're both in a different rotation because one shoulder's up and one is down. So it could just be a brain challenge here. Do 2, and then do 1 more time here. All right, so end, taking some breaths here, breathing in, and just seeing if it's a little easier to breathe. So that's the whole point of just feeling the fascia hydrate and glide. I forgot, I did want to do hand stuff. So you're gonna have your fingers come in between and you're just gently putting as much pressure as you can tolerate as you just wiggle in and out. So I'm between my pointer and my next finger, and now I'm going between my middle finger and my ring finger and pushing in. And some of them are a lot more tender than the others. And then switching and doing the other one, so I'm between my pinky and my ring. And then I'm gonna end between my pointer and my thumb. So you can always push into 1, you can glide anywhere along here as you come and push in, but the spaces between the fingers are really important also. So it's just something to leave you with, that you can do all of that with the spaces. And then trying to take a breath. If we can get our feet and our hands better, the circulation's going to be better, and then that's what, our feet and our hands tell us so much about our health, and so we can kind of, see the body start to shut down from the furthest to our heart to closest to our heart. So really pay attention to the feet and the hands more. Well, I hope this helps, and hope you feel better.